All right, so welcome everybody. Today's class is on Adho, Mukha, Svanasana, downward facing dog. One of the classic basics. I think Kristen says that her daughter guessed it. So somebody wins. Oh no, her dog wins. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, so downward facing dog, one of the foundational poses of yoga and one of the greatest misunderstood poses of yoga, I think. So the attitude that I want you to take from this is the idea that downward facing dog is not about your shoulders. It's not about your heels getting to the ground. It is about you understanding the actual extension of your spine, right? The extension of your body in both directions in equality. Right? So what we tend to do is we get focused on one or the other, or we get focused on where we're restricted instead of where we have space. So the attitude of downward facing dog is being able to find space by being able to pull from within, right? Because again, we look for it on the outside. How can I get more space on the outside? But to be able to pull from within, to be really long and equal in both directions, create stability, right? So downward facing dog is this attitude of being able to find the full extension of yourself in equality, right? It's not the top half, not the bottom half, it's both. And that when we understand that full spaciousness inside, right, we're reaching from there, as we can do things like the heels will soften towards the floor as much as they can. We will find greater extension through the shoulders and the chest. And then for some people, again, that reality of having your chest come to the floor in downward facing dog is possible without hyperextending, right? But if we reach for that, we end up compromising the space that we actually have in our spine, and then things hurt, right? So downward facing dog is kind of that idea that you can be in that inverted position, fully extended, equality, right? But with a kind of joyful attitude. And we get that from looking at dogs, right? Is that they go to those positions naturally, not to hold them because it means something, but just because it's a way to feel their whole spine. So that's what you're doing in downward facing dog, is you're trying to feel your whole self, but in equality, right? So comfortable seat if you're not there already. Let the eyes close. Just start to breathe into the actual feeling of your spine. Right? We know that there are natural curves. Can you actually feel the way your spine sits with your pelvis? Can you feel with your breath the way that your shoulders are sitting? So again, this attitude of trying to feel things from within and create the space, the stability, the equality from within is huge. So can you feel the way that your shoulders are sitting? Is one slightly forward? Is one slightly dropped? Can you feel the weight on your pelvis? Is it equal right and left side? Does it feel like your back has a natural tendency to lean to one side or forward or back? Where is there pulling? How does your head sit with your spine? And then can you, with your breath on your inhale, pull your spine as long as you can, like it's suspended on a string? Good. And so as you pull up, the shoulders stay soft, relax the arms, relax the legs. You're just pulling up through the spine. And then exhaling, allowing that reaching to relax. And then inhale again, pulling up through the spine, straight up like you're suspended from the top of your head. You're being pulled up. So your neck gets longer, your spine gets longer, your tailbone is still heavy. And then release that reaching and just let yourself settle into your spine. And then one more time, inhaling, pulling up through the spine. Good. From inside, let everything else hang. And then maintain that feeling of space. And exhale, release. So there's a softening around how tall you are, how long you are. And then bring the hands together in front of the heart center from there. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, bring your hands to your knees, your thighs, and just circle your torso a little bit, because again, downward facing dog is really about your spine. It's not about your arms. It's not about your legs. It's about that ability to keep extending as long as you can. And so I like that little exercise of just sitting and being able to, with your breath, pull yourself longer. Because if you think that in your yoga poses that, right, well, I can't, once I'm in the pose is I generally can't move in it, or there's no way that I can get longer because I'm stuck in the pose. You always have the ability to lengthen yourself. Move your spine the other way, please. Circle the other way. So just to start with that concept that simply with your breath and with the intention of, oh, I'm suspended by a string to the top of my head, suddenly I get taller, right? Your muscles, your body has the capability of doing this. Good. And in a very natural way. Again, when we look at animals, the great thing is that they're not trying to stretch big. They just go to what their capacity is. And as human beings, we always fall short of reaching for our capacity because we're sure that we're less than we are. So just like a dog just does what a dog does, you do what a person does. Reach for your full potential. Come back to stillness, please. Good. Grab your block or grab a block, if you have it. You're going to place that block longwise between your hands. So you're pressing your palms into the short edges of your mat, or of your block, sorry, not your mat. And you're squeezing, right? So I want you to squeeze so that you feel the squeeze coming not just through your hands, but you feel your elbows hugging slightly in. You feel your lower armpits hugging slightly in. Good. So I want you to press those hands towards each other so you feel that squeeze coming all the way from your lower armpits. Good. And then keep that squeeze. Press the block straight out in front of you, out from your chest. Extend the arms. Good. Keep the arms extended, but then pull back on your lower armpit. So it's like you're pulling your arms into the shoulder socket as you push out. Good. And then keep this feeling and start to bend the elbows out wide, still feeling the lower armpits. Pull the block in towards your chest. Good. And then press it straight forward again. Good. As you press all the way forward, pull back on your ribs, pull the arms into the socket. Good. And then start to bend the elbows wide, pull the block back in towards your chest. Keep pressing. So keep that pressure on the armpits and then press forward again. Good. Kind of like you're doing a push-up. Good. You should be shaking a little bit here. And then pull those elbows back and in. Nice. Then keep squeezing the block, press the block up overhead. Good. And keep that press. And now as you bend the elbows wide, bring the block down towards the top of your head, push your head up towards the block and pull those elbows down. So again, you feel that squeeze of your lower armpits in here. Good. And then keep that pulling down through your armpits, but extend out through the arms again, as straight as you can. It's okay if the elbows don't come perfectly straight. And then bend the elbows out wide again. Block is still overhead. Push the block or push your head up towards the block. Hug those elbows down or squeeze down through the armpits and then extend the arms back again. Good. And then one more time, bend the elbows wide, push the top of the head up towards the block. Good. Keep those armpits rooted down, extend the block to straight. And then with that same feeling of extension, take the arms straight forward to the chest. Keep squeezing the block, pull back on the arms, and then extend the arms back up overhead. Keep squeezing the block. Good. Pull your ribs back, drop into your seat, take the arms forward again, chest open. As the arms come forward, your chest lifts. And then keep the chest lifted as you bring the block up overhead and drop into your seat. One more time, keep squeezing the block. Your arms should be getting a little tired. Good. And then bring that block all the way back up, plugging the arms into the shoulder socket. Nice. And then release the block, please. Good job. My arms hurt. That was a lot. Take your arms out wide. Cross your right arm over top of your left, wrapping the forearms. Good. Do little circles with your elbows. Nice. I know. So I said this is about your spine, but the main thing that gets in the way of our spinal extension in downward facing dog is our shoulders. One of the main things, right? Good. Come back to stillness, please. Lift those elbows a little higher. Press the forearms together, but pull your armpits back. So feel the lift and widening of your chest here. Don't focus on the arms. Focus on how wide can you get your chest. Good. Yeah, you feel how now your back muscles are working a little bit more? Beautiful. Release that, please. Stretch the arms all the way out and wide. Good. And then take the other arm on top. Good. Wrapping the forearms. Do little circles with the elbows. Good. Downward facing dog is essentially a pose that works the muscles of your back, stabilizing the spine. It is not about your arms. It's not about your legs. Those are things that can compromise or get in the way of our ability to extend the spine. But the purpose, right, the full intention of down dog is to have that fully articulated spine, fully extended spine, spacious. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Pause. And then lift the elbows a little higher, but then pull your lower armpits back. So again, you're focusing on lifting and widening your chest against that pressure of the arms squeezing. Good. And then release the arms all the way out. Nice job, you guys. And then roll forward onto hands and knees. I know, your arms back feel really awake, right? You're like, done. Do a little cat and cow, please. So I'm sure you're probably imagining in your head is how am I going to get through an entire class of focusing on down dog without having you do a lot of down dog? Don't worry. Good, you guys. Beautiful. And then come into that cat position, the rounded position where you're pulling your belly in, rounding up through your ribs, dropping your chin towards your chest. Stay in that rounded position. Good. So you can feel here that the more you push up through your ribs, the arms become a little disconnected from the upper back. So stay super rounded, but start to pull up through your arm bones, like you're trying to pull your arms up into your shoulders and then press down through your hands again at the same time. Good. So you almost want to feel those lower edges of your shoulder blades squeezing towards each other, and then stay rounded in your belly. Start to lift your collarbones forward, like you're trying to lift your upper chest into a back bend, but keep your lower back in that rounded position. Good. So keep focusing on that challenge, right? That your ribs stay lifted, but your chest is pulling forward and up. Drag back on your hands. Keep pulling the arm bones up as you push down through the heels of your hands. Chest up. You can bring your throat with you. Good. Chest up, chest up, chest up. Beautiful. Nice, you guys. And then release that completely, please. Go back to your moving cat and cow. Good. So notice where you got really tense trying to do that. You're like everywhere. You got tense everywhere. So every time you inhale in cat-cow, feel that feeling of dragging back on your hands and pulling your chest forward and up. Right? Focus on that integration of this is how when I lift my chest, my arms pull up into the shoulder socket. This is how I keep my arms integrated with my back. Good. Next time you come to that cat position again, stay there, round. Good. And again, start to pull those lower armpits towards your hips. So it's that squeezing down, that bearing down through those shoulder muscles. You draw your shoulder blades towards your hips. Start to feel your chest lifting as you keep that navel in. So you're still trying to round through your middle ribs as much as possible, but start to lift your chest up and wide. Good. And keep those shoulder blades dragging down towards your hips. Good. Relax your head a little bit more, Emily, so your chin is neutral. There you go. Nice, you guys. It should feel like a lot of work happening in your upper back. Good. And then for fun, press into the balls of your feet here. Lift your knees up off the floor just an inch. And try and pull those thighs forward as you push your tail back towards your heels. Don't drop your ribs. Keep your chest lifting up. Good. Pull those knees forward. Move your hips slightly back towards your heels. Yeah, nice, Kristen. Good, Lisa. And then drop the knees to the floor, please. Widen the knees, come back child's pose. You're like, are we done? Can we just do down dog? No, you may not. Separate your hands as wide as your mat. One of the big challenges in downward facing dog with shoulders and any shoulder stretch, but especially in down dog, is we don't give ourselves a realistic amount of space. right? If your shoulders are tight, making your hands narrower is not going to stretch them faster. It's going to restrict their ability to open. You have to give yourself space. Good. Move your torso to the right. Walk over the right thigh, please. Beautiful. And then walk yourself back to center. Walk yourself to the left over the left thigh. Good. And come back to center. Beautiful. And then walk yourself back up towards or back up onto hands and knees. This is the easiest way to do it. Bring your hands to your hips, come back to a high kneeling position. Good. And then step your right foot forward in front of you. Yep. There you go. See, don't need down dog. Let your pelvis move forward towards Anjaneyasana, please. As you start to lean forward into Anjaneyasana, keep your hands at your hips. Just want you to be aware of, as you let your pelvis go forward, you keep your chest lifted. Good. And then slide yourself back to that 90-degree angle where your hips are on top of your knee. Good. And then let yourself slide forward again towards Anjaneyasana. Keep your chest lifted. Keep your belly drawn in and up, chest open. Good. And then slide yourself back up to where your left hip is on top of your left knee. Good. One more time, let yourself slide forward. Now that back foot can have toes tucked under or not. That's up to you, whatever feels the most stable. Good. Pause there in your Anjaneyasana. Take the arms up alongside the ears. Good. Turn your palms forward. Nice. And then draw those armpits down towards your hips. As you draw your armpits down, lift your chest. And notice how wide your arms are, how wide it feels to have your arms in this position. Good. Now I want you to feel here like you have heavy air that you're pushing against. So push forward with your hands and pull back from your lower ribs. Push forward with your hands, pull back through your lower ribs so your armpits stay really hollow and you're dragging down towards your hips. Good. Push forward and pull back on your lower ribs. Good. Nice straight arms, Kristen. Yeah. And then bend your elbows out wide, cactus arms, please. Twist to your right, left forearm drops onto your right thigh. Right arm comes over the ear at the diagonal. Good. Nice, you guys. So I'm choosing this pose again to get into a little bit of hip flexibility, lower back opening, because the other place where we will get stuck in the spine is the limitation of the pelvis. Good. Bring yourself all the way back up, arms to the sky. Nice. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Good. Lift your back heel, or your back knee, sorry. Lift your back knee up off the floor. And then step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. Parsvottanasana. Good. So if you've never considered how much hamstring opening before doing down dog is important, it's pretty important. So even in this position, you can use blocks underneath the hands if you want. Walk your hands forward a little bit more. So again, you have that feeling of your arms are an extension of your spine. So if you were to draw a straight line from your fingertips to your tailbone, move your hands that far out so that it feels like you can draw a straight line from your fingertips to your tailbone. Good. Keep walking your hands forward as much as you need to make that feel like it's real. I know. Good, because now you have to focus a little bit more, right, on that feeling of drawing the tops of your thighs back. Good, and press into your fingertips and lift your chest up, look slightly forward. And pull those arms up and in, chest up, collarbones up and wide. Focus on widening your chest here. And the wide chest happens when you squeeze those lower armpits down towards your hips. Good, your collarbones go wide and your low ribs tuck in. So hug the back of your body from the front of your body. Nice. And then release all of that, forward fold. Beautiful. And then go ahead and step forward top of your mat. Good. Standing forward fold. Nice job. Bend your knees, please. Drop your seat into chair. Take your arms up alongside your ears. Utkatasana. Good. And you're gonna rise up onto the balls of your feet. So lift your heels up off the floor. Good, hugging through the inner thighs, pulling through your spine. You're suspended by the crown of your head, pull up. Good, and then if you can stay on tippy toes, come all the way up to stand. Really pull up through your spine. If you need to put the heels down, no problem, but come all the way up to stand. Good, and then release your heels down to the floor, standing, and then bend your knees, drop back into chair. With that feeling that you stay suspended, that you're pulling through your armpits, from your hips all the way up through your armpits. Come up onto the balls of your feet again in chair. Good. From that internal place of your belly, draw back to connect with your lower spine, and then come all the way up to stand. Pull up like you're suspended on a string. Don't stop pulling up. Keep going. Good. And then let the heels drop down to the floor. One more time, bend your knees back to chair. Good. And then come up on your tippy toes. Again, feeling that as you come up on the balls of your feet, your weight lifts. It doesn't drop, it lifts. And then come all the way up to stand like you're suspended on a string. You're being pulled up, 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 up. And then let your heels soften to the floor, but don't lose any of that height. Beautiful. Forward fold, hands to the floor. Good. Step your right leg back behind you, lunge. Drop that knee down to the floor. Good, move yourself back so you find that 90-degree position, or where you can move your right hip on top of your right knee. Take your hands up to your hips. Good, so find where it's 90 degrees and 90 degrees, right? So just like you started on the first side. Good. And then from there, I want you to take the pelvis forward towards Anjaneyasana. So part of the purpose of this too is it's not just for your pelvis, it's for your ankles, right? Because your ankles are another piece of that puzzle of your legs. If your ankles are tight, down dog is going to be difficult. So let yourself come back to 90 degrees where your right hip is on top of your right knee. And then let yourself move forward again without popping the ribs forward. Stay vertical with your spine. Just let your pelvis move forward. Good. And focus on dragging back on that left foot so your ankle is flexing. Come back up, 90 degrees. Good, and then take it forward one more time towards Anjaneyasana. And again, it doesn't matter how low you go. The point is to find the flexibility of your ankle and your hip. Good. And then take the arms up alongside your ears again, palms facing forward. Again, this is to give you a sense of this is how wide your shoulders are. Drag down with the lower tips of your armpits. So the arms stay straight, but the difference between shoulders up towards the ears and shoulders wide is that dragging down, and ribs tuck in. Now start to push forward through the hands like you're pushing into heavy air, and pull your low ribs back. Keep your arms straight, Mark, elbows straight. Good, so you're pushing forward. It should feel again like the effort of it is coming from your armpit chest, and your low ribs draw back. Good, nice, you guys. And then bend the elbows out wide to cactus arms, twist to your left, please. Right forearm onto your left thigh. Left arm comes over the ear. As you reach on that diagonal, pull your low rib cage back and in, pull your low belly back and in, squeeze your arms in towards the center of your back. Good. So everything, again, in down dog is about the openness of the chest and the extension of the spine. The extremities are an extension of your spine. Good. And then come all the way back up, please. Arms to the sky. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Lift your back knee. Step that right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. Parsvottanasana. And again, I want you to walk your hands forward here as much as you can. So if you have blocks, use blocks. Try to find where it feels like you can draw a straight line from your fingertips all the way up through your tailbone. Good. Nice. Right? We are very confused from our internal reality about what space our body actually has. Sometimes we're confused in two ways, right? I know someone who's actually is very petite in her structure, but she's always convinced that she's much taller than she is, right? I tend to do the same thing. I get very surprised when I find out that I'm short. I mean, I'm normal size, but you know, can't reach things on the top shelf. So we get confused, right? We don't know how to take up all the space that we have. So that practice of just extending until you run out of space or finding the full articulation of your spine is in and itself a practice. Good. Lift your chest a little higher here, you guys, and then feel that pulling through the armpits again, like you're pulling your arms into the upper back and you're pulling your armpits down towards your hips. And the tops of the thighs go back. So there's not a lot of weight in your hands, but you are pushing into your hands. Good. This is part of down dog too, is that the weight should not be falling all into your hands. Awesome. And then slowly release, please. Step that right foot forward, top of your mat. Good. Standing forward fold. Nice job. And then bring your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. Good. Hug your right knee up and towards your chest. Squeeze it in. Yep. Good. And then take that leg back behind you, please, to warrior three. So the chest comes forward, thigh goes back. And extend the arms forward in front of you. If you were choosing a different arm position, I want you to do it this way. Because again, I want you to feel this feeling of having to pull out, press out through your extremities, and then pull in. So pull that thigh into the hip socket, pull your arms in towards the shoulder. Good. Nice, you guys. And again, turn your palms to face the floor here and push down like there's heavy air. And feel your chest lift because you're pushing down through the arms. Awesome. Step back to high lunge. Inhale the arms to the sky. Good. Chest up. Beautiful. And then hands to heart center, please. Prayer twist. Right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Good. Kick your back thigh higher here. Again, straight line from the top of your head to the back of that heels. This is always what we're looking for. And then even pop your butt just a little bit higher here. Yeah, that's it. And then your navel can draw in and you can twist a little deeper. So really let that right side body draw down as your left opens, opens, opens. Good. Beautiful. And then come back to center. Release the hands to the floor, please. Step your right foot forward alongside the left. Standing forward fold. Good. Hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. It is actually a little bit weird to not be using down dog as a transition, I will admit. Left knee up and towards your chest. Right? But it's a strange thing, right? That we rely on downward facing dog without ever thinking about what we're doing or why. So hug that knee in and then take that leg back behind you, warrior three. Stretching the arms out in front of you. This time interlace your fingers and press out through the heels of your hands. I just want you to feel the difference, right? Can you get your chest as wide in this position? Can you pull your arms up alongside your ears? Can you still drag down through your arm bones towards your hips? Good, and pull that left thigh up and in as well. So everything is pulling towards that apex of your pelvis. Good. Nice, nice, nice. And then step back to high lunge, please. Keep the arms exactly as they are and just reach up. So I just want you to feel the difference, right? This is your shoulders in some restriction. Good. And then fold the hands together at the heart center, please, and come into prayer twist. Left elbow to the outside of the right knee. As you twist, lift that back thigh a little higher. Again, from inside, you are creating more space to extend. As soon as your pelvis lifts just a little bit, your butt lifts a little bit, your leg can go longer. Your ribs can go longer. So draw that left armpit forward and then let it draw under you so the right rib cage spirals open. Good. This is all finding the strength of your spine. Nice. And then come back to center, release the hands down to the floor. Step back to plank pose, upward push-up. Don't cheat. I see you. Good. Lower down to the floor slow, please. Coming through knees if you need. Good. Point the toes back behind you. Rise up to cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Good. Nice, you guys. And then lower back down to your belly, please. Good. Tuck your toes under, press your knees down into the floor, pop your butt up. So keep your toes on the floor, press down into your knees and lift your butt. Good. So the front of your pelvis comes away from the floor. Chin can be lifted slightly forward. Good. Separate your hands a little bit wider away from your ribs. There you go. And as you press down into the arms, lift and open the chest. So lift your arm bones up and roll them back. Good. And then squeeze your elbows towards each other. Keep your butt lifted, please. Knees down, butt lifted. Good. I know it's awkward and annoying. Squeeze your arms towards each other. Good. Now start to pull your low rib cage up away from the floor. Yeah. And pull your tail towards your heels. And that might feel like you're squeezing your knees forward. Awesome. And then if you want to, take that into a full reverse chaturanga, press up into plank pose from there. Yeah. Lift from your inner thighs. Good. If you don't want to, stay where you are. If you're like, oh my God, I actually can't. Hallelujah. You're noticing something. Good. And then drop your knees to the floor, please. Good, Emily. And come back to child's pose. With something like that, I would love for you guys to struggle with it instead of trying to just get to the position, because the struggling with it is helping you find the actual muscles of your back that want to get stronger, right? Or that need to get stronger to accomplish that position. Good. And again, having a strong and supple back is what downward facing dog is all about. So you're not relying on your extremities to do the work for you. And you're not using the extremities as the excuse or the limitation for why you can't take up more space. Good. Walk yourself back up. Please come to sit on your butt. Your legs out in front of you. Grab your strap. If you have a strap or a belt or a scarf or whatever. Take the strap around the balls of both feet. So you're sitting with your legs stretched out in front of you. You're welcome to have a blanket underneath your seat if that helps keep the pelvis more level. Then the strap around the balls of the feet, both feet. Good, both feet, Joanne. There you go. Good. And so try to find here where you are pushing the big toe mounds of your feet forward into the strap, and your baby toe mounds of the feet are actually drawing wide. So it's like you have a flat edge or a straight edge through the balls of your feet. And then give yourself enough room on the strap so you can sit nice and tall with your elbows alongside your ribs. So you're not with the arms being pulled forward. Give yourself enough room that you're actually using your shoulders and chest, good, to keep the tension on the strap. Nice, you guys. Yeah, so press your butt back in space a little bit more. Draw your low rib cage in, drag back on those elbows. Lift your chest up as though you're, again, trying to do almost like a pull-up here. Is I want you to engage those back muscles, pull back on the arms, squeeze your elbows together, squeeze those lower armpits together. Good, and don't tell me you can't feel that. Good, ribs in. Good, pull back, elbows back even more, Emily. Yeah, there it is, chest up as you pull those elbows back. Good. Now go ahead and start to fold forward from this position. So don't rely on having to walk yourself down the strap. Keep pulling your elbows back. Keep pulling your elbows back, ribs in, elbows back, chest up, Lisa. Good, throat up, Susan. There you go. Don't compromise it. Keep pulling back on the elbows. Keep squeezing the elbows in as you pull forward from your spine. Press your butt back. Yeah. Relax your jaw, Lorraine. There you go. And then come all the way back up. Good. Let the strap go. Was that the most difficult forward fold you've ever done? Yes. Yeah. Now take your arms up alongside your ears. No strap. Good. Flex your feet. Try and find that same position. Push through the big toe mounds of your feet. Pull back on the baby toes. Good. So again, everything that we do with a prop is intended to give us information or awareness so that we can do it, simulate it without the prop eventually. So butt goes back, arms are up. Feel that same feeling of trying to pull your chest so wide. So you feel those armpits pulling back. You feel that drawing, that squeezing towards the middle of your shoulders. Good. And now maintain that and start to reach forward into that forward fold. Keep your arms in line with your ears. Good. I don't care how low you get. I want you to keep your arms alongside your ears. Keep pressing through your legs. Keep pressing back through your seat. Navel in. Chest up. Chest up, Joanne. Good. Chest up, Mark. Good. Yeah. Turn those palms forward if you want and feel again that you push through the hands to pull back through your ribs and extend further. Extend, extend, extend. Your chest is going to reach your toes. Doesn't matter where your hands go. Your chest is going to reach your toes. Really good, Sue. Good. Now relax everything. Hands to the floor, forward fold. Maybe that was the hardest forward fold you've ever done. My point is so that you see the difference between when you are initiating an action from the outside, right? I can put a strap around my feet and I can pull. I can use my arms and I'll feel something in my legs. I'll feel something in my back. But to come into a forward fold or anything using just the actual strength of your back, that's down dog, right? Is to actually be able to defy gravity using the strength of your back, right? To find the full length of your spine. It's so strong that you don't have to rely on the arms or the legs. And the arms and the legs are an extension of the spine. If we don't feel spacious inside, what happens on the outside will not be spacious. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Bend your knees, plant your feet. Or yeah, plant your feet first. Separate your feet about hips width. Take your hands back behind you, fingers pointing towards your heels. Good, so this is reverse table. So again, if you need to separate the hands a little wider, again, remember how wide your arms felt when they were up this way, is give yourself a little space, right? So don't try and squeeze your arms as close as they can with your hands in this position. Move them a little wider so that when you bend your elbows here, you can hug the upper arms, squeeze from that armpit area, and lift your chest. Good, and as you lift your chest, pull back through those lower ribs. Good, and now press into your feet, press through the hands from the back of your rib cage. Begin to lift up and lift your hips. Good, so again, it's not about your legs pushing, it's about your back actually engaging to lift your spine. And then you're pressing down and dragging back on your heels. Nice, and you're pushing into your hands, but your elbows should not feel locked. Keep a little bend there so that you keep the energy happening from the lift of your chest. Good. I hope that you feel like you did 1,000 push-ups tomorrow. And then release your hips down to the floor. You will, whether you want to or not, you will. But that's what I want you to feel, because that's so much the energy of downward facing dog, right? Is that it's really about the chest and the back. Good. So feet just touching the floor. Keep your hands back behind you. Toes just touching the floor. Good. Lift your right leg out to straight. So your knees are in line with each other. Just lift the right leg out to straight. So your knees stay at the same angle, but you stretch that right leg straight. Good. Notice if you're leaning back super into your hands and falling out of your chest and doing everything you can to get out of your lower abdominals. Release that right toes down to the floor. Try the other side. Relift your chest. Start from the best place you can. Don't start from, oh God, this is hard. Start from, I lengthen my spine as much as I can. I engage that low belly. I squeeze those lower armpits towards my back so my spine stays erect. Left leg extends. I know. Doing it, this is harder than boat, so don't worry. I know it's harder than boat. But this is you in downward facing dog, right? What's not powering up in this position? Draw that low belly in, pull that left thigh into the hip socket, even though you're extending. Breathe. Release that foot to the floor. Good. All right. Get really light on your hands, please. Get really light on your toes. I want you to do almost little can-can kicks. You're not going to hold. So right leg goes straight, and then switch to left leg. And then right leg and left leg. Good. Keep going. Good. Try not to fall any more into your hands than you already are. Chest up. Squeeze those muscles of your back. Squeeze those muscles of your low belly or hollow them. Don't clench them. Nice, Susan. Nice, Mark. You guys are the grumpiest can-can girls I've ever seen. Good. I know. Lorraine's smiling. Sue is smiling. Lisa's smiling. There we go. Sarah's smiling. Awesome, you guys. And then go ahead and release, please. Bottoms to the feet together. Let your knees drop wide. Baddha Konasana, fold forward. Yeah. So we cannot neglect the lower body in downward facing dog. If the legs are tight, the spine will be restricted. If the lower abdominals are weak or inaccessible, the spine will be unstable. So the purpose is not to have, the strongest, longest legs. It's to have a spine that is completely supported. right? So downward facing dog is essentially that ability to live your life fully spacious. Just like a dog doesn't have the same worries that we do. Can you let yourself live with all the space that you have? Good. And walk yourself back up, please. Grab your strap. And come up to sit in Virasana would be my choice for you. So sitting on your shins with a block between the feet. Good. You can have more than one block between the feet if you need. Good. And again, careful here that if you're pretty comfortable in this position, there is a tendency to round through your lower back and kind of hunch, just fall into it. Stay as long as you can. Grab your strap. Strap comes held out in front of you. Nice and straight. Good. So arms, shoulder height, chest wide or wider. Good. And you're going to bring that strap all the way up overhead, keeping the arms straight, and then keeping the arms straight, bringing the arms all the way back as far as they will go. Good. The rotation might be that it comes all the way down. It might be that it doesn't. So you go to where the shoulders say that's enough, and then you go back the other way. Lift up, ribs stay in, and bring the block strap forward in front of you. Give yourself as much room on the strap as you need, and then bring the strap back up and start to bring it behind you. And again, if this is as far as the shoulders go, then stay here, but put pressure on the strap and lift the chest and pull the ribs in. And then you can always come back up to center and come forward. Good. So again, you're just working the range of motion, realistic range of motion of your shoulders. Right. I remember years ago when I was just starting out in my practice and I was doing a lot of Ashtanga, and Ashtanga generally wants you to build flexibility very fast, or that's some of the attitude of it, is that there would be some suggestions of doing things like this and really trying to force the rotation, or even taking your hands back behind you on a windowsill and doing like squats to try to create that openness in your chest and your shoulders. And at the time, I was in my early 20s and I thought, fine, no problem. And now I think about it and I'm like, man, how many shoulders does that destroy in trying to do that? So again, a dog would never consider, oh, I should be lower to the floor, or I should be this, or I should be that. They just move the mobility of their spine. I love you look at those videos of dogs that only have 3 legs and or 2 legs and act like nothing's wrong, right? Your limitations, the amount of space that you think you have is completely internal. It has nothing to do with the outside, right? That's what we learn from dogs. That's what we learn from nature. You limit yourself. Good. Next time your strap comes forward, let it rest. Beautiful. Good. Place your strap to the side. Take your hands back behind you. Good. Fingers pointing towards your heels. Start to walk your hands back any amount. So again, if you're sitting on a block, you might walk back. Maybe you'll come down onto your forearms in this position, but you're not going to go any deeper than that if you're on a block. If you are not on a block, if your seat is comfortably on the floor and you want to lay all the way back here, you're welcome to do that. If you're capable of laying all the way back so that your back is pretty much flat on the floor, just watching to see if anybody is there. Not quite. Oh, Kristen's going for it. Is that once you're there, take your hands alongside your ears like you would for wheel. Palms flat. Hug those elbows in. Good. And again, engage those lower armpits. You can even do this if you're on your forearms. Is again, lift your chest a little higher like you're going to come into like a back bend. Good. And pull those armpits down towards your hips. And if you are in that position on your back and you want to press into your hands, Kristen, and try and actually press up towards a modified wheel. Good. Nice. Keep pressing through your shins. Gauge your low belly. Good. Couple more breaths, you guys, just feeling the whole stretch of the spine and the shoulders. Good. And then slowly start to release wherever you are. Bring yourself all the way back up. Normally, I would joke that if you need help, wave me over. But if you need help, all I can do is call 911. There's nothing else I can do. Good. Nice, you guys. Come up to a kneeling position, please. Good. And then tuck your toes under. Did this in class yesterday. So if you were in class yesterday, you're like, oh, good, she's doing this again. And then drop your hips back towards your heels. Yeah, with your toes tucked under. Good. And stretch your arms up towards the sky. Nice. And imagine you were suspended on that string. Pull up and press your seat towards your heels. Good. Nice. And then release the hands to the floor, the forehead to the floor. Good. Untuck the toes. Reach your hands back behind you. Either hold your ankles or interlace the fingers at the low back. Good. If you're holding your ankles, keep them there. Roll up onto the crown of your head, round your back. If you're holding your hands, stretch your arms up and over any amount. Good. So again, you can do it either way, holding your ankles and rounding or stretching the arms up. Good. And then slowly begin to release the hips back down. Good. Come back up to that high kneeling position. Tuck your toes. And then bring your hips back towards your heels. Good. And feel that reach of your spine. So you're lengthening as much as you can, but you're not denying or getting away from that stretch on the toes. And again, the ankles are another piece of downward facing dog that gets ignored. Good. Beautiful, you guys. Come all the way back up. I know. Good job smiling, Lorraine and Joanne, smiling so much in that position. And then release the toes, please. Good. Bring your hands back to the floor, hands and knees. Good. And then start to walk your hands forward, please. Like you're going to come into a modified downward facing dog. Good. Take your hands as wide as your mat. Hips on top of knees, so you're finding that position. Again, like there's a straight line from your fingertips all the way through your tail. So if your elbows are sagging, that's not a straight line. Elbows have got to go up. If your armpits are sagging, that's not a straight line. They've got to lift up. If your ribs are sagging, they've got to draw in. And then if you want your spine to get longer here, you have to push back through the tops of your thighs. Good. And press down through your shins. Nice. Press into your hands, but pull the arm bones up into the shoulder socket. Good. Nice. Then walk your hands in just a little bit. Take them a little closer to each other. Good. And same position. If you walked back towards your knees, walk your hands back out a little bit narrower. So you're just playing with the same position, right? You got it, Susan. So you're in the same modified down dog, just with your hands a little narrower than where they were when they were as wide as your mat. Good. Because I just want you to feel, again, at what point do you feel like that restriction of the arms is actually changing your pose? Good. Walk your hands back in just a little bit towards your knees. Take your hands a little narrower again. Good. And then walk your hands back out. Find that downward facing dog position, the modified position. And feel how much you can lift your chest or not. Good. Nice, you guys. Lower ribs draw in. Tops of thighs pull back. Press through your shins. Good. So already you start to feel like, where's weight being born here? And how much can you take it out of your hands by pulling up through your ribs, by pulling up through your spine? Beautiful. Good. Drop back to child's pose, please. The arms are really feeling a little overwhelmed here. Bend your elbows, make a pillow with your hands, and rest your forehead on your hands. Because sometimes being extended and extended and extended through the shoulders can start to feel fatiguing. Good. And then walk yourself back up, please. Grab your strap one more time. one more thing I want you to do with it. So if you have a true yoga strap, this is a lot easier. If you're using a strap substitute, it might be harder to do. But I'd like for you to make a loop out of your strap, a closed loop that is just long enough to fit around your upper arms. Assuming that I have one of these straps that actually works. Good. So that amount of space, right? The wideness that you discovered is kind of your wideness for your shoulders. Right? I want you to try and go to that. So you're taking the strap around the upper arms so that you have something to push into. Good. You could tie it if you have something that can be tied. It's just harder to do. Good. So you're finding that loop so that it can be above the elbows. And it should be, again, tight enough that you can't go past that point of what the perfect level of wideness was, right? So you can't go past that. Good, but it should let you go there. Nice. And then come on down to your forearms, please. Yep, so this is where the strap has to be above your elbows. Good. And you're pressing down into your forearms and you're pushing wide into the strap. Good. And so you're pushing wide, and at the same time that you are pushing your upper arms wide, you are drawing your armpits towards your hips. Good. Lifting your chest up, and then step your feet back to plank, forearm plank. Good. Keep pushing wide into the strap. Keep lifting your upper chest. Keep drawing the arm bones up into the middle of the back, into the shoulders. Pull your armpits down towards your hips, chest up. Good. And then optional here is to start to walk the feet forward a tiny bit by scooping your belly, by pulling your back rib cage up, by pulling your hips up. Yeah, squeeze up. That's it. Don't go to your full ability. Just go to a couple of steps and then walk your feet back to plank. I know. This is working strength of your back. Chest lifted. And then walk your feet forward again. I know. Pull up through your belly. Don't make it about forcing your legs together. You're pulling through your ribs like you're doing that reverse push-up. Good. And then step back to plank. Keep pushing the arms against the strap. Lift your chest. Good. One more time if you can. If you need to come down, come down. Walk your feet up. Pull up through your pelvis. Tops of thighs go back. Even as you walk your feet in, the tops of your thighs go back. That's it, Emily. Good. Ribs in. Good. Step yourself back to plank. Nice. Lower the knees to the floor, please. Let the strap go. Wow. You are going to feel so fantastic tomorrow. Maybe later tonight. Good. Sit however you would like to sit. Take your right arm up. Bend the elbow. Reach to hold the tip of the elbow. So you're just stretching the upper arm. Good. You know, there's all the things that we say, there's all the things that you can do from down dog, that it really is a neutral position from which we move from. So the more space we have there, the more ways we can move. Switch the arms, please. So I thought about doing down dog with a bunch of variations, right? Flipping your dog and down dog split and all these things. But if we don't have the shoulder and the back strength, we don't have the awareness to actually hold the basic neutral position, then all of those accoutrements, all of those variations are not going to add to the experience. They're going to take us away from it. Good. Release the arms out wide, please. Good. Cross the arms in front of you. Give yourself a hug. Reaching the fingertips towards the opposite shoulder blade. So you're not just hugging in a cute way, but you're actually pulling. Good. And then stretch your arms out wide again. Take the other arm on top. Squeeze. Good. And then release. All right. Come to hands and knees. Find that perfect width of your arms to where you have space for your shoulders. And I want you to bend your elbows wide just a little bit. So bend your elbows so that you feel they bend out wide, so that you feel that drop of your chest And the drop of your chest means that your arm bones get integrated into your shoulders. Elbows are wide, like you're in the middle of a push-up. Good. And then from there, elbows are still bent. Pull up through your lower rib cage. Again, like you're doing that reverse push-up. So engage your back. Feel those tops of your thighs pulling back. Good. Now squeeze your elbows towards each other. So they're going to point to the back of your mat. But then feel like you're pushing your upper arms wide. So your elbows are squeezing in, but your upper arms are pushing wide and your armpits are hugging. Good. And now spread through your fingers, please. And from your low ribs again, pull up again. And from your low belly, push your tail to the sky, push your hips to the sky. And as your hips go up towards the ceiling, pull the tops of your thighs back. And as the tops of your thighs go back, pull your chest forward and up. And try and find that straight line from the tips of your fingers all the way up through your tail. Good. And then slide forward towards plank pose. Adjust the feet as necessary. Refind it, chest up, inner thighs up. So you feel again that you are pushing down through the hands, pushing down through the feet, but it's your core, it's your rib cage, it's your back that's holding you. Keep pushing your upper arms wide. Good. And then from your hips, pull up. From your middle ribs, pull up and press back to downward facing dog. Focus on drawing the tops of your thighs back and focus on pulling your chest forward and up. Pull those arms into the shoulder socket. Pull those armpits towards your hips, almost like there's no weight in your hands. It's all held through your ribs and through your belly. Slide forward to plank. Good. Chest up. This is how you get stronger. Good. Last time, from your middle ribs, pull up from your middle ribs, pull up through the tops of your thighs, pull up through your tail, push your butt to the sky. And then take the tops of your thighs back. Take your chest forward, collarbones up. Good. Give a little bit more lift to your chest. Wag your tail. Maybe bend your knees a little bit so you can wag your tail, because a dog in this position is happy. Good. And then come back to stillness, pulling up through your seat a little bit more. Spread through those hands. Chest pulls forward. Nice. And from here, you can move to anything. Drop down to your knees, please. Sit back on your heels or between your heels. Long spine. And just like you did in the beginning of class, can you breathe through your whole spine, feeling the inhale pulling you longer? Good. So I said sit between your heels or on your heels. Some of you are in child's pose, which is okay. Do whatever you want. Good. But if you're sitting up, do that breathing exercise again, where the inhale, you feel yourself elongating. And the exhale, you stay as long as you can, but you feel your skin relax. And in theory, now, after all of that nonsense that you just did, is it should feel easier to sit taller. It should feel like less effort to hold that space. You're looking at me like, maybe, maybe not. I guarantee there's an awareness of your back that you didn't have before. Good. Couple more breaths, just feel your spine. And slowly find your way onto your backs. Good. Take your legs to the sky. Take your arms to the sky. Good. Draw those arm bones down and into the shoulder socket. Draw your thigh bones down and in like you're pushing down through the lowest part of your sacrum. Good. And then start to stretch those arms up alongside your ears and start to let your legs reach out to about 60 degrees. Good, but pull in. Good. And then bring the legs back up. Bring the arms back up. Good. So again, like the arms and the legs are going to the same angle. Start to stretch the arms up and extend the legs out, and just pause there, pulling in towards the center. And then come back up, arms and legs up to the sky. One more time. Keep that spine rooted down towards the floor. Extend out, rib cage in. Armpits towards hips, hips towards armpits. Good. And then all the way back up. Nice job. Bend your knees out wide. Happy baby. Good. All right, we have this metaphor in yoga that the spine, Sushumna, it's that core path of our most primal prana, our most potent prana. And if it's not open, if it's not spacious, then everything that we are gets diluted and we feel like we're less. And if we feel like we're less, then we act like we're less. So the spine is the place where you begin and where you end. It's where you have the ability to go everywhere or where you get stuck. Bring the bottoms of your feet together, please. Drop your heels towards your groin. Good. So the knees are still angled up towards the armpits, but your legs are in Baddha Konasana. Nice. And then take the right thigh over top of the left thigh, please. Stacking the knees, separate your feet, reach for your ankles or your shins. Downward facing dog is the pose that we move into and out of all the time without thinking. If it's a place where there is not a lot of space, then wherever we try to move to is going to be limited also. So the metaphor is that if your spine is very open, very supple, very strong, the potential that you are moves clearly, smoothly. Good. Just release the feet, please. Bring the shins towards each other. The legs are still crossed. Scoot your hips over to the left, please, and drop your knees to the right. So you're in a cross-legged spinal twist or a wrapped twist. I'm sorry, I think I said it wrong. So bring your hips to the right and drop your knees to the left. Good. If your right leg is on top, you should be dropping your knees to the left. Yeah, sorry, I said it wrong. Good job. If twisting with the legs wrapped does not feel good, just stack the knees on top of each other. So the hope is that the more you feel your spine and you feel where there is limitation, you start to find freedom in those places. You find how much you can extend from inside, how much space you can make. That the potential of who you are starts to expand. Not because you decided what it should be, but it simply has room to be what it is. You get out of the way. Come back to center, please. Unwind the legs. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Take your left thigh on top of your right. Stacking the knees, separate the feet, reach for your ankles or your shins. Good. It's really too bad. It would have been really fun to do more things on a wall for downward facing dog, but oh well. One day. If you got even a little bit of a sense of being able to extend yourself from the inside, a little bit of a sense of where there's strength that you didn't know you had that you could access. Your spine is stronger, more supple. And think of that. If you did that every single time you were in downward facing dog, just a little bit, right? This is what we say, if I had a nickel for every time. If you had a nickel for every time you did down dog and you did it really consciously and functionally for your back and your shoulders, imagine what you'd be like at the end of a year. Bring your shins towards each other, please. Good. And this time, scooting the hips over to the left, dropping the knees to the right. And again, if twisting with the legs wrapped does not feel good, unwind them. So please don't take down dog for granted. That it's not just a transition that you get to just to get out of it. Can be a resting pose. That resting pose can be aggravating if we are resting too much in our shoulders and not doing the work in our back. So it's really about finding space in your spine. Come back to center, please. Good. Planting the feet, one bridge pose, so the hips are, or the feet are hips width apart. Take the arms however you'd like them, into cactus arms, not cactus arms, sorry, robot arms or arms straight. And then pressing down, again, those same muscles of your back start to lift from your armpits, lift your chest, and then let the hips rise up. Good. Pressing, if your arms are straight, especially press straight down through the arms. So again, you're getting that shoulder awakening, that shoulder rotation. Good. Anything you do habitually has the power to do wonderful things, or the power to limit you extremely. So make down dog something that liberates you, opens you. And then slowly release the hips back down to the floor. Good. Draw the knees in towards your chest, forehead comes up to meet your knees, hug yourself. And then slowly release the shoulders, release the legs, settling into Shavasana. Use whatever props you'd like. I do recommend, if downward facing dog is a pose that you feel restriction in your lower back, is working the hamstring stretches or even legs up the wall. A very good way of opening up habitually for that pose to be easier. Find yourself at rest. Breath so big through your chest, through your spine, so that you can feel the breath moving as though your skin dissolves. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. The body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And drawing your knees in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. And take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Drawing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. Remembering that the attitude of downward facing dog is not about your legs, it's not about your arms, it's completely about your spine, because if the place of your spine is supple and strong, then you can go anywhere. You can step to lunge, you can kick up to handstand, you can go backwards, you can go forwards, you can go to side plank, you can go anywhere. Because that's the potential of you, is to go anywhere. So the metaphor, right, is that if your spine is open, your potential becomes free. When downward facing dog, we practice that feeling of openness, not just in the upper body or the lower body, but both equal. So that the freedom that we have is not only in one direction, it's in all directions. So it's a place for you to feel not where your limitations are, but how you can just be yourself and find that equal freedom in all directions. And maybe you'll even remember to have some fun with it if you're really in that dog mode. But remember, it is about your spine. So don't sweat it if it's the arms or the legs that feel like they're in the way. Live the potential that you are. We'll close with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week till I see you again. You'll have to tell me how that went. I'm very curious if anybody's wrists bother them. No. Yeah. So you see people complain about their wrists